What if I told you that most guts are in worse shape than people think, not because individuals are failing, but because our approach treats symptoms like band-aids instead of rebuilding an entire system? Unlock the secrets. 12. Gut healing plants for a total health transformation isn't a promise of a miracle overnight. It's an invitation to rewire digestion, inflammation, and resilience over weeks and months by using 12 ordinary plants the right way, targeted, repeatable, and evidence-informed. We start with a simple reframing. The gut is a system to rebuild, not a problem to manage. That system depends on a handful of core functions working together: bile to emulsify fats and signal microbes, digestive enzymes and stomach acid to break food down, coordinated motility to move contents along, a diverse microbiome to extract nutrients and protect against invaders, and an intact mucosal barrier to keep what belongs inside the gut from leaking out into the body. Inflammation sits at the center of dysfunction. When it stays lit, everything else falters. The plants we cover work on one or more of these levers. Some act like a grease on the hinges, bile stimulants. Some are gentle muscle relaxers, antispasmodics. Others feed helpful bacteria, prebiotics. And a few quietly tone down the inflammatory fire, NF-κB modulators. That's a cellular switch that amplifies inflammation. If you want a printable checklist of these plants and the best ways to use them, hit like now, and we'll make one available in the description. But more than a checklist, this countdown will show you how to think like a systems builder. Match a plant to the process that's most off in your gut. Pick one to try reliably for weeks and integrate it into food or a clinically recognized form. 12. Coriander, cilantro. The gentle antimicrobial and motility friend. One-line benefit: calms microbial overgrowth and eases sluggish digestion while adding a bright culinary lift. Mechanism: coriander contains compounds that mildly inhibit certain pathogenic bacteria while not wiping out beneficial microbes, and it helps relax smooth muscle in the gut to ease cramping and low-grade spasms. Its aromatic oils can also stimulate digestive secretions, nudging weak motility back toward normal rhythm. How to use it? Fresh coriander leaves in salads, pestos, or chutneys bring immediate flavor and mild activity. For a more concentrated effect, look to standardized coriander seed extracts used in digestive supplements or a cup of coriander seed tea after meals. Evidence and safety note: traditional systems from the Mediterranean to South Asia have used coriander for dyspepsia for centuries, and modern studies support its antimicrobial and antispasmodic actions in lab and small human trials. Coriander is generally safe, though concentrated extracts can cause reactions in people with severe pollen or spice allergies. Pregnant people should consult their clinician before using therapeutic extracts. 11. Cumin, the enzyme stimulator that helps food break down. One-line benefit: encourages digestive enzyme release and bile flow, helping you extract nutrients and reduce post-meal bloating. Mechanism: cumin's volatile oils stimulate gastric secretions and may enhance pancreatic enzyme activity, improving protein and fat digestion. It also has carminative properties, meaning it reduces the formation of gas, and modest antimicrobial effects against certain gut pathogens. How to use it? Toast and grind cumin seeds into spice blends. Add cumin to cooked dishes to activate its enzymes with heat, or steep seeds for a focused digestive tea after heavier meals. Clinical-grade cumin extracts are also used in functional formulas aimed at dyspepsia. Evidence and safety note: research supports cumin's use for indigestion and for reducing postprandial bloating in small trials. Cumin in food is safe for most people. Concentrated supplements may interact with medications that lower blood sugar and should be discussed with a clinician if you're on glucose-lowering drugs. 10. Artichoke leaf, the bile booster for fat digestion and liver support. One-line benefit: improves bile flow and fat digestion, easing bloating after fatty meals and supporting liver detox pathways. Mechanism: artichoke leaf extract stimulates bile secretion and promotes bile flow from the liver and gallbladder, helping emulsify fats and enabling better digestion and absorption. More efficient bile flow also shapes the microbiome by discouraging bacteria that thrive on stagnation. How to use it? Culinary artichoke hearts are nourishing, but for a clinically relevant bile-stimulating effect, artichoke leaf extract is the form used in trials. It's often found in supplements targeting indigestion and cholesterol support. Evidence and safety note: clinical studies indicate artichoke leaf can improve symptoms of functional dyspepsia and support markers of liver function. Because artichoke stimulates bile, people with known gallstones or acute gallbladder obstruction should consult a clinician before using concentrated artichoke extracts. 9. Dandelion, the bitter tonic and gentle prebiotic. One-line benefit: stimulates bile, feeds beneficial bacteria, and adds fiber that supports regularity. Mechanism: dandelion greens and root are bitter botanicals that encourage bile secretion and support liver processing. The root contains inulin, a prebiotic fiber that selectively feeds bifidobacteria and other helpful microbes in the colon, improving stool form and microbiome resilience. How to use it? Add young dandelion greens to salads or sauté them as a bitter side. Roast and steep the root for a coffee-like infusion that's rich in inulin, or use standardized dandelion root extracts for focused prebiotic and bitter actions. Evidence and safety note: traditional use is extensive, and small studies support its digestive and mild diuretic benefits. People with gallbladder disease should seek advice before using concentrated forms, and those taking diuretics or lithium should be cautious because of possible interactions. 8. Fennel, the carminative that tames gas and newborn colic alike. One-line benefit: relaxes intestinal muscles, reduces gas, and helps with distension and cramping. Mechanism: fennel seeds contain anethole and other volatile oils that act as antispasmodics. They calm overactive intestinal smooth muscle and reduce spasm-driven pain. Fennel also helps gas move through the GI tract more efficiently and has modest prebiotic fibers that support a balanced microbiome. How to use it? Chew a pinch of fennel seeds after meals, sip fennel seed tea to settle cramps, or incorporate roasted fennel and bulbs into meals for a regular culinary dose. For infants, fennel tea formulations are used traditionally and carefully in some cultures to ease colic, but parents should check with pediatric guidance first. Evidence and safety note: there's good randomized trial data supporting fennel for infant colic and smaller studies showing benefit for adult bloating and cramping. Fennel is generally safe, but concentrated fennel oil can be potent and should be avoided in pregnancy unless under professional supervision due to estrogenic constituents. Before you keep going, don't miss what's next. Coming up are 2 items people commonly underestimate. One is an everyday spice that stabilizes blood sugar and, surprisingly, gut inflammation. The other is a kitchen staple that both feeds beneficial bacteria and presses down on harmful bugs at the same time. Those are coming in the next block, but first we'll finish the first half of our 12. 7. Cinnamon, the blood sugar stabilizer that cools gut inflammation. One-line benefit: tames post-meal glucose swings and reduces inflammatory signaling that can keep the gut in a simmer. Mechanism: cinnamon contains polyphenols that improve insulin sensitivity and blunt postprandial glucose spikes, and blood sugar stability matters for the gut because glucose surges can feed inflammation and dysregulated immune signaling. Cinnamon also shows anti-inflammatory activity through pathways that dampen NF-κB, the cellular fire alarm for inflammation, which can help lower gut mucosal irritation over time. How to use it? Use Ceylon cinnamon for regular culinary use to avoid cumulative coumarin exposure associated with cassia cinnamon. Sprinkle it on oats, yogurt or coffee, or use in whole spice forms where the aroma supports digestion. Therapeutic formulations of cinnamon extract exist, but long-term, habitual use as a spice paired with a balanced diet is often the safest route. Evidence and safety note. Research suggests cinnamon can improve glycemic control and has anti-inflammatory effects in human trials, though results vary with extract type and study design. High and chronic intake of cassia cinnamon carries a risk of coumarin-related liver strain. Pregnant people and those on blood sugar-lowering medication should consult their provider before using medicinal cinnamon extracts. 6. Chamomile, the soft healer for spasms, sleep, and mucosal calm. One-line benefit: soothes spasms, calms inflammation, and helps the nervous system support digestion. Mechanism. Chamomile's flavonoids act as gentle antispasmodics and anti-inflammatories, and they promote relaxation of the autonomic nervous system, the branch that governs digestion. By lowering stress-driven gut reactivity and calming smooth muscle, chamomile can reduce pain, help settle the stomach, and support mucosal healing through lowered inflammatory signaling. How to use it? Steep quality chamomile flowers as a tea after meals or before bed, or look for standardized extracts for a more concentrated effect. Topical or rectal formulations exist for certain mucosal conditions, but those are specialized and should be clinician-guided. Evidence and safety note. Trials report benefits for dyspepsia and functional gastrointestinal symptoms, and chamomile is generally well tolerated. People with severe ragweed or plant allergies should use caution, and chamomile can enhance the sedative effect of sleep medications or certain herbal sedatives. 5. Peppermint, the evidence-backed antispasmodic for IBS symptoms. One-line benefit: rapidly relaxes gut-smooth muscle to reduce cramping, bloating, and pain. Mechanism. Peppermint oil contains menthol, which relaxes intestinal smooth muscle and modulates visceral hypersensitivity, meaning it can reduce the gut's tendency to overreact to normal stretch or gas. Enteric-coated peppermint oil delivers these effects where they're needed, in the small intestine and colon, without causing upper GI irritation. How to use it? For symptomatic relief, use enteric-coated peppermint oil capsules designed for intestinal release. Culinary peppermint tea provides milder, immediate relief and serves as a pleasant digestive ritual. Evidence and safety note. Peppermint oil has the strongest clinical support of any herb on this list for irritable bowel syndrome symptoms in multiple randomized trials. However, it can worsen reflux in some people, and non-enteric forms may cause heartburn. Peppermint oil can interact with certain medications via liver enzymes and should be used cautiously by people with gallbladder disease or those on antiplatelet medications. We've walked through the first third of the countdown, showing how bitter tonics, spice-driven enzyme stimulants, antispasmodics, and bile boosters each pull a different lever in the digestive system. These 5 plants already give you a toolkit. If your issue is slow digestion and fat intolerance, artichoke and dandelion are promising. For spasms and gas, fennel, chamomile, and peppermint rise to the top. For metabolic inflammation linked to the gut, cinnamon is an early win. A quick practical note before we move on. Preparation matters. The same plant often behaves completely differently, depending on form. Fresh herbs in food act mostly as culinary tonics. Teas extract volatile oils for gentle, immediate effects. Enteric-coated capsules take action in the lower gut. Standardized extracts concentrate a mechanism for clinical effect. Always match the form to the goal. Use enteric-coated peppermint oil for motility-related spasm, not a peppermint candy. Choose inner leaf aloe gel for mucosal repair, not the yellow latex. Crush garlic to make allicin if you want its antimicrobial punch, or cook it gently if you're after prebiotic benefits rather than a huge antimicrobial hit. Now a quick teaser you'll want to stay for. Number 4 is a plant many people eat daily. It does the rare double act of selectively feeding beneficial microbes while pressuring pathogens. Number 3 and 2 include a mucosal bandage and a motility superstar you probably already have in your kitchen drawer. And the number 1 pick? It's the anti-inflammatory powerhouse that helps shut down the cellular fire and supports barrier repair when used consistently with a dietary strategy. We're about to move deeper into plants 4 through 1, including practical preparation tips you can apply tomorrow and the safety flags you need to know. If you've already identified your dominant symptom, bloating, pain, sluggishness, reflux, or loose stools, think about which mechanism we described today aligns with that symptom. Pick one plant from this first half to add to your daily routine for the next 2 to 4 weeks so you can begin to feel the compounding effect. In the next section, we'll unpack the garlic that feeds and fights, the aloe that acts like a mucosal bandage, the ginger that resets motility, and the turmeric that helps turn inflammation down at the molecular level. 4. Garlic. The everyday double agent that feeds the good and pressures the bad. One-line benefit, a culinary powerhouse that can selectively suppress problematic microbes while supporting microbiome diversity when used thoughtfully. Mechanism: when crushed and exposed to air, garlic produces allicin, a reactive compound that exerts broad antimicrobial pressure, targeting pathogens and overgrown organisms without uniformly sterilizing the gut. At the same time, cooked garlic and aged garlic preparations supply soluble fibers and prebiotic compounds that feed beneficial bacteria and promote short-chain fatty acid production. This twin action, acute antimicrobial activity from fresh garlic and microbiome-supporting substrate from cooked or aged forms, explains why garlic can both reduce overgrowth and help rebuild a resilient community. How to use it? For targeted antimicrobial effect, crush fresh garlic and allow it to sit briefly before using it raw in dressings or finishing sauces. For microbiome feeding and gentler daily use, incorporate gently cooked garlic into meals or try aged garlic extracts used in clinical formulations. Evidence and safety note. Traditional medicine around the world prizes garlic for digestive infections and dysbiosis, and modern research supports antimicrobial activity and immune-modulating effects in human and lab studies. However, garlic can increase bleeding risk when combined with anticoagulant medications, may cause reflux or gastric irritation in sensitive people, and should be discussed with your clinician before surgery or if you're on blood-thinning drugs. Practical tip: if you're new to raw garlic, start by crushing a clove and mixing it into yogurt or olive oil to blunt harshness while preserving allicin. If strong antimicrobial action isn't your goal, a daily dose of cooked garlic in soups, sautés, or slow-roasted preparations gives prebiotic fiber without the same intense killing effect. 3. Aloe vera, inner leaf gel. The mucosal bandage for irritated linings. One-line benefit: coats and soothes inflamed mucosa, supports repair of the intestinal lining, and reduces symptomatic discomfort when chosen and prepared correctly. Mechanism: inner leaf aloe gel contains mucilaginous polysaccharides that form a protective film over irritated epithelial surfaces, reducing direct irritation and supporting the local environment for healing. Aloe also has anti-inflammatory constituents that modulate signaling pathways associated with mucosal inflammation, helping calm an overactive immune response at the gut surface. How to use it? Use only inner leaf aloe gel preparations intended for internal use. These remove the yellow latex, aloe latex, that is a strong laxative. either as whole food gel blended into smoothies or as clinically prepared inner leaf extracts. Avoid using raw leaf latex or unprocessed products for chronic internal use. Evidence and safety note. Some controlled trials and clinical reports suggest benefit of aloe in inflammatory bowel conditions and in symptomatic relief, though results are mixed and quality varies by preparation. Aloe latex is a potent stimulant laxative and can cause electrolyte disturbances, so do not use latex internally, and pregnant people and those with kidney disease should avoid internal aloe without medical supervision. Practical tip. If you try aloe gel, choose products labeled inner leaf or decolorized whole leaf and observe how your stool and abdominal comfort respond over a 2 to 4 week window. Discontinue if you experience worsening diarrhea or cramping, and consult a provider before combining aloe with other laxatives or diuretics. 2. Ginger. The kitchen drawer reset button for motility and nausea. One-line benefit: speeds gastric emptying, calms nausea, and restores coordinated intestinal movement after meals or during sluggish days. Mechanism: ginger contains gingerols and shogaols that act on gastric and intestinal receptors to accelerate gastric emptying and improve coordinated muscular contractions, while also interacting with central and peripheral pathways to reduce nausea. It influences serotonin-related pathways involved in gut motility and dampens pro-migratory dysfunction that underlies delayed transit. How to use it. Fresh ginger tea or grated ginger added to warm broths provides fast-acting relief for nausea and post-meal heaviness. Standardized ginger extracts and culinary use both work well for motility support. Use the fresh or powdered root regularly with meals for maintenance and a concentrated extract when you need a targeted reset. Evidence and safety note. Robust evidence supports ginger for nausea, post-operative pregnancy-related and chemotherapy-adjacent, and emerging trials show benefit for functional dyspepsia and gastric emptying. Ginger is generally safe, but can interact with blood-thinning medications and, rarely, worsen heartburn in reflux-prone individuals. Pregnant people should check with their provider when using concentrated supplements. Practical tip. For quick relief, steep several slices of fresh ginger in hot water for a strong cup of tea and sip slowly after a heavy meal. For ongoing motility support, include ginger in morning smoothies or in cooked dishes to get a steady, gentle prokinetic effect. 1. Turmeric, curcumin, the anti-inflammatory switch for barrier repair and systemic calm. One-line benefit: the slow but powerful inflammation modulator that helps turn down the molecular fire alarm and supports long-term healing of the gut lining. Mechanism: curcuminoids in turmeric target multiple inflammatory pathways. Most notably, they reduce signaling through NF-κB, a central cellular mediator that amplifies immune responses, and promote antioxidant defenses and tissue repair signals that support mucosal integrity. Because inflammation underpins permeability, pain, and dysbiosis, lowering that fire at the molecular level helps the other systems, motility, bile, and microbiome, regain balance. How to use it. For culinary benefit, add ground turmeric to cooked dishes with a source of fat and a pinch of black pepper to enhance absorption. For clinical anti-inflammatory action, choose formulations that enhance bioavailability. For example, curcumin complexes designed for increased uptake, rather than relying solely on small culinary amounts. Evidence and safety note. Clinical trials show curcumin can reduce inflammatory markers and symptom burden in certain inflammatory bowel conditions when used as part of a structured plan, and numerous studies support its systemic anti-inflammatory effects. Turmeric and curcumin can interact with anticoagulants and may affect gallbladder contraction, so consult your clinician if you have gallstones, are on blood thinners, or are preparing for surgery. Practical tip. If you're adding turmeric to food, cook it briefly in oil and pair it with black pepper-containing preparations. If choosing a supplement, pick a formulation with demonstrated bioavailability and discuss interactions with your clinician, especially if you take medications for clotting or blood sugar, stacking and sequencing. How to combine these plants without overdoing it. Think like a systems engineer. Match the plant to the weakest process and layer complementary actions rather than layering everything at once. A few practical, safe combinations we commonly use. Motility Reset plus antispasmodic. Ginger with enteric-coated peppermint oil when reflux risk is low helps move things forward and reduces cramping during the same window. Bray Bile Support plus Bitter Tonic. Artichoke leaf extract paired with daily dandelion greens supports bile flow and feeds beneficial microbes. Use culinary dandelion leaves and a focused artichoke extract rather than both in concentrated supplement forms at the same time. Mucosal Care plus anti-inflammatory. Aloe inner leaf gel taken as a daily mucosal support with a turmeric preparation aimed at bioavailability creates a protective environment while dialing down the molecular fire. Selective antimicrobial plus microbiome rebuild. Short-term use of crushed raw garlic or a clinician-supervised aged garlic extract to reduce pathogenic pressure, followed by a focus on prebiotic-rich foods, dandelion root, cooked garlic, inulin-containing foods, and fermented foods to restore diversity. A few safety pairing rules. Avoid combining multiple high anticoagulant plants, raw garlic, high-dose turmeric, large amounts of cinnamon extracts, if you're on blood thinners. When using a potent antimicrobial strategy, like raw garlic for short bursts, follow with prebiotic and fiber-rich foods to help beneficial species recover. And if you have gallstones or a history of biliary colic, consult your clinician before initiating concentrated bile stimulants like artichoke or strong bitter extracts. Application. Match the plant to your most consistent symptom. This is where the Unlock the Secrets promise turns practical. Below is a hands-on map to help you choose a starting plant based on the symptom that shows up most days. Bloating after fatty meals, greasy intolerance, sluggish digestion. Prioritize bile stimulants, artichoke leaf extract and dandelion greens. Why? Better bile flow emulsifies fats and reduces stagnation that fuels adverse microbiome shifts. Cramping, spasm and sharp pain with gas. Choose antispasmodics, peppermint, enteric-coated and fennel. Why? They relax smooth muscle and reduce visceral hypersensitivity. Chronic loose stools or dysbiosis signals, odd odor, post-antibiotic shifts. Begin with immune-complementary, microbiome-targeted options, garlic used carefully, short targeted exposure, plus prebiotic supports like dandelion root and cooked garlic as a daily fiber source. Nausea, early satiety or delayed emptying, lean on ginger for its prokinetic and antiemetic effects. Combine with small dietary changes to reduce load on a taxed stomach. Or persistent low-level mucosal irritation, rectal discomfort or inflammatory bowel patterns. Prioritize mucosal supportive and anti-inflammatory agents. Aloe inner leaf gel for local soothing and turmeric for systemic NF-kB modulation, while coordinating care with a gastroenterologist. And in blood sugar-related gut inflammation, meals that spike glucose and then trigger bloating or pain. Cinnamon as a culinary habit, plus broader dietary stabilizers. Why? Glucose swings amplify inflammatory signaling that worsens mucosal irritation. A practical, conservative implementation plan 1. Pick one dominant problem and one plant that primarily addresses it. Starting with a single well-chosen plant reduces variables and gives you clearer feedback. 2. Commit to 2 to 4 weeks of consistent practice in the chosen form. The systems we are rebuilding change slowly. Look for shifts in frequency of symptoms, stool form, and overall comfort, rather than expecting an overnight fix. 3. Match form to goal. Culinary use for mild daily tonic effects, e.g. cinnamon on oats, turmeric in curries, cooked garlic in meals. Teas for fast-acting, short-duration relief, e.g. ginger tea for nausea, chamomile for evening spasms. Standardized extracts or specialized formulations when clinical mechanisms require concentration, e.g. artichoke leaf extract for bile stimulation, enteric-coated peppermint oil for IBS spasm, curcumin formulations for anti-inflammatory signaling. Inner leaf or decolorized aloe gel for mucosal repair. Avoid latex. 4. Monitor and document. Keep a simple daily log, what you used, the form, timing relative to meals, and symptom ratings for bloating, pain, stool, and energy. This lets you see compounding benefits or signals to stop. 5. Add slowly. Once you see meaningful improvement with one plant, layer a complementary plant to address a second lever. For example, after improving motility with ginger, add dandelion or artichoke if fat intolerance persists. 6. Watch for cautions. Before adding plants that affect clotting, bile, or blood sugar, like garlic, turmeric, cinnamon, check interactions with your medications. If you have gallstones, are pregnant, breastfeeding, or have severe medical conditions, consult your clinician before introducing concentrated extracts. 7. Avoid all-at-once stacks. Less is often more. A repeated, reliable habit, daily culinary turmeric with dietary fat, plus a targeted supplement for the main issue, produces better, safer results than a long list of high-potency products. Common questions and troubleshooting. I tried a plant and got worse. 2 quick considerations: form mismatch and dose intensity. Raw garlic can irritate some people's stomachs. Concentrated aloe latex causes laxation. Enteric-coated peppermint can aggravate reflux if taken in a non-enteric form. Pause, reassess the form, and consider a gentler culinary approach or a different plant that addresses the same mechanism. Can I take multiple herbs at once? Yes, if they address distinct mechanisms and you've checked for interactions. A common safe stack is ginger, motility, plus a low-dose turmeric preparation, anti-inflammatory, while getting bile support from diet. Avoid stacking several strong blood-thinning agents together without medical oversight. How long until I see results? Expect variable timing. Motility-focused plants like ginger or enteric-coated peppermint can yield noticeable relief within days. Bile modulation and microbiome rebuilding often require weeks. Mucosal repair and anti-inflammatory shifts take consistent use over months. Think compounding improvement, not overnight cures. Should I stop my medication? No, these plants are tools to support rebuilding, not replacements for prescribed care. Always coordinate with your clinician before changing medications. Cultural context and practical recipes you can start tomorrow. One of the strengths of this approach is that many of these plants are ordinary kitchen staples. A few simple daily recipes harness mechanisms without fuss. Morning turmeric latte, warm milk, or a plant milk with ground turmeric, a small amount of fat, and a touch of black pepper. This supports daily anti-inflammatory habit and absorption in a food context. Post-meal digestive cup. Steep fresh ginger slices with a sprig of crushed coriander or a pinch of fennel seeds to encourage motility and reduce gas after larger meals. Salad booster. Finish leafy salads with a dressing that includes crushed raw garlic. Let it sit briefly after crushing, lemon, and chopped coriander. This blends antimicrobial and digestive stimulating effects in a palatable way. Gentle liver bile salad. Saute dandelion greens lightly with olive oil and finish with a squeeze of lemon and toasted cumin for a bitter, bile-stimulating everyday side. Soothe and settle. Steep chamomile with a sliver of fresh ginger for evening digestive calm that supports sleep and mucosal relaxation. Safety flags and populations requiring extra care. Pregnancy and breastfeeding. Many culinary uses are safe, but concentrated extracts and essential oils should be avoided or discussed with a provider. Fennel oil, concentrated cinnamon extracts, and high-dose herbal supplements can carry risks. Anticoagulants and bleeding disorders. Garlic, turmeric, and large amounts of cinnamon can augment bleeding risk. Check with your clinician before starting these in supplement form. Gallbladder disease or known gallstones. Plants that stimulate bile, artichoke, dandelion, should be used under medical guidance because increased bile flow can precipitate symptoms in obstructive disease. Surgery. Stop potent herbal anticoagulants and certain supplements in the preoperative window as advised by your surgeon or anesthesiologist. Coordinate timing carefully. Interactions with glucose-lowering drugs. Cinnamon and some plants that influence insulin sensitivity can potentiate glucose-lowering medications. Monitor closely. Closing synthesis. Unlock the secrets, then build the system. We began with a reframing. The gut is a system to rebuild, not a set of symptoms to slap band-aids on. These 12 plants, coriander, cumin, artichoke, dandelion, fennel, cinnamon, chamomile, peppermint, garlic, aloe, ginger, and turmeric, give you a toolkit of levers. Each plant targets a specific function: motility, bile, enzymes, microbiome feeding, mucosal protection, or inflammatory control. The real unlocking happens when you stop chasing quick cleanses and start a durable practice. Pick the process that's most off in your gut, choose the plant that addresses it, match the preparation to the mechanism, and commit to consistent use while tracking responses. One practical next step: choose one plant from this list today, preferably the one most aligned with your dominant symptom, and integrate it in the recommended form for 2 to 4 weeks. Keep a simple log of symptoms and how you feel. If things improve, consider adding a complementary plant. If symptoms worsen or you have complex medical issues, pause and consult your clinician. If this video helped you rethink digestion as a system and gave you actionable ways to unlock those plant-based levers, subscribe for weekly deep dives into traditional healing and real nutrition, and let us know in the comments. Which gut issue is your biggest daily problem, and which plant from this list are you going to try first? We'll follow up with a printable checklist and a short guide to choosing formulations so you can get started safely and confidently. Unlock the secrets, build the system, and let small, consistent plant habits compound into a total health transformation.